Peace, family. What's good with y'all? Welcome to Aboriginal Global Media. I am your resident host, the one and only Ghetto Scholar. And we are here tonight to have another profound discussion on our health. And the question that we are posing for folk to think about, contemplate upon, discuss, dialogue, work through is stress slow electrocution? An analysis of the pathology of disease and electrical chaos in the body and healing based on indigenous breathing techniques, food science, proper exercise, meditation, hygiene, healthy sex, and other things. And so we are going to piece this apart and have a very healthy discussion so that we can reduce stress as much as possible. I do want to start out this discussion in a most unique way. So as you come in, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Share the channel with your family members so that they can be a part of what we take to be a very profound moment in time for education for our people and to address some very, very, very important things. What can be more important to address for us than stress? We are streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on Instagram. We're streaming live on X. We're streaming live on YouTube. We are streaming live in a lot of places. And if you're on any of those platforms, you can ask your question on those platforms and we will answer your question. We do want to highlight a great part of our discussion tonight will come from our new book, which I'll show it right now. Which is called Carbon and Melanin, the Universal Law of Life. And what does this book do or discuss? Carbon and Melanin, the Universal Law of Life, unveils the profound significance of these fundamental elements in the tapestry of existence, offering insights into their role in chemistry, biology, physics, and primary functions of all life. This book explores the science of carbon as the element that communicates with light and unfolds design in nature. It discusses melanin as the molecular structure given to the original people as a natural technology to interpret the language of light. Both are fundamental to DNA diversity, DNA repair, epigenetics, nutrition, and human biological polymorphism, being a system that is a more suitable system than modern evolutionary biology and natural selection. And you can contact us at any of those locations. We have the book in hard, in physical form, and in ebook form. All right. So if you go to the ebook, you can see some of the details. All matter is a form of light. What is light? The language of light, the language of matter, carbon cycles and immortality, carbon optics, light and gravity. We go into a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm going to put this in the chat on YouTube and on Instagram. What's good, family? I see y'all in the building. I see y'all in the building. What's good? I'm going to put them on all of the platforms. Let's just post them into the chats so you can see that material. Now, it is important for me to state for the record. I don't know why this is so small. It is important for me to state for the record that the materials that we are discussing, well, let me just say this straight out. I am not here, well, actually, maybe I am. So let me put this statement in the right. I was about to say I'm not here to play around, but I play too much anyway. So I am here to play around. So technically, I'm about to contradict myself. But what I mean when I say I'm not here to play, when I am playing, when I'm not playing, I'm not here to play. And what are we here to do? We are here to purposefully solve problems. And we are here to challenge what is already here. And in some ways, we're going to do that. It may appear very arrogant and just not necessarily like the style that academia likes to receive challenges. Generally, in an academic setting, it's very boring and dry and saltine crackerish and coffee-ish. And that's not how I live. So some of my academic challenges might be a little, might have a little fire in them. But what we're here to do is literally tell you this. And this might sound like one of these arrogant statements. We literally have been taught nothing, NOTHING, of value at any point, at any time, by any colonizer that has ever existed. We have never, this is my personal stance, and people that aren't might not agree with me. They might say I'm kind of contradicting myself. But I would have to explain. It is my position that we have not been taught anything of value at all, at any time, by any colonizers. That the very subjects that we think have even modernized our society are all, A-L-L, all a part of the problem that I'm about to discuss tonight. Because I posed the question, is stress slow electrocution? And that might sound like, hey, he's just trying to get some clickbait or something. No, I am not. What I'm here to do is to tell you and to prove and to leave the question tabs open. I have the link inside of the chat where if you want to get invited in and you want to ask your question in person and not in the chat, you can challenge me on anything that I say from any direction, from any academic article you could pull up, from any Google search that you can make, from any book that you have, from any scientist that you want to tag and invite into the story, because we're talking about biological stress. Now we're talking about the nervous system. We're talking about all these technical things that we got books on. We got Grey's Anatomy. We got academic level PhD courses, studies on the nervous system. We got MRI technology. We got all types of shit out here, bro. And what I'm saying is none of it N-O-N-E. None of it. Not even the clothes that most of us wear are doing us any good. And it has everything to do with this word that I'm using, stress. Because my contention is that all of it, A-L-L, all of it, the cars that we drive, all of it is inducing biological stress at different levels. Some very minute, some very high. Now, the body, of course, is designed to handle stress. But we see what happens when stress overrides it. But what is stress? Like, what is it? This book right here is the basis of why I'm even posing this question. And it is my position that not 3 generations from now, not 5 generations from now, not 2 generations from now, that in this lifetime, we will change science. We will change the entire discussion on science. And so that's what we're here to do tonight. And I want to be very efficient. I don't want to stay here a long time. I don't want to waste your time. I want you to have a good time, and I want you to enjoy the show. You deserve to enjoy the show. So once again, welcome to Aboriginal Global Media and the Ghetto Scholar. I am about to do some fundamental things. Hit the like button, share it, get your people all up in here, bring all the online geniuses, open up your Google Scholar, open up your AI, start talking to Chat GPT as I talk. Correct me if I'm wrong. So now we're going to start out with some fundamentals. So that we understand what we're talking about. That's important. That's important. Why is this so small? Let's do this. Let me make some edits. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define stress. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. Stress is a natural, physiological, and psychological response to perceived challenges or threats. It is a complex process that involves the body's endocrine, nervous, and immune systems. Stressors, which are events or situations that trigger stress, can vary widely and include go back to it. Major life decisions like job loss, illness or divorce, work pressure, financial difficulties, relationship problems, daily hassles like traffic jams. You got some road rage? Stress can have both positive and negative effects on the body and the mind. Positive effects: increase alertness and focus, enhance motivation and performance, and improve coping skills. Negative effects: physical symptoms, headaches. I had a headache the other day for the first time, probably in about 10 years. This is what made me kind of do the lecture, because I hadn't had a headache. I'm like, oh, the headache was a sign. Motherfucker, what did you get a headache for? Muscle tension, fatigue, Emotional problems, anxiety, depression, behavioral changes, irritability, poor sleep, weakened immune system, increased risk of toxic or chronic diseases, heart disease, types of stress, acute stress, short-term stress that lasts for a few minutes to hours, chronic stress, long-term stress that lasts for weeks, months, or even years, traumatic stress, stress caused by a severe or life-threatening event, managing stress. Effective stress management techniques include exercise, sleep, healthy diet, relaxation techniques, yoga, meditation, social support, professional help if needed. It is important to know that everyone experiences stress differently, and what works for one person may not work for another. If stress is significantly impacting your life, it's recommended to seek professional guidance. Where are we going to go for this professional guidance? I want to know. Where we about to go? Where we about to go? Y'all need professional guidance? Do y'all need professional guidance? And so now we know, according to that world, what stress is. Now, it said it was a natural physiological and psychological response to perceived challenges or threats. So now, what is perception? Because are there things that can stress you that you aren't perceiving? Or are we including the fact that there is perception beyond the so-called conscious mind? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, whatever. Do cells have a perception that is a higher or wider bandwidth than your conscious use of your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears? Because then we can pack that into perception. Let's do that. Because if not, then there could be stress that you don't perceive. Matter of fact, check this out. This is how crazy the world is about to get in this discussion. There could be something that you think is actually healthy for you that is stressful for you. Because it says that you preclude it as a threat. What if you don't preclude it as a threat? You do it, carry out activity, and it gives you these same responses. All right, so let's go to the next thing. The next thing we need to define is electrocution. I'm going to make this easy because now you're about to either agree with me where I said nothing you're learning is important, or all right, let's go. What is electrocution? Let's read it. Electrocution is a medical term that describes an injury or death caused by an electric current passing through the body. It occurs when a person comes into contact with a live electrical source, such as a power line, appliance, or electrical outlet. When an electric current passes through the body, it can damage tissues and organs, including the heart, the brain, the lungs, the muscles, and the nerves. The severity of the injury depends on factors such as the intensity of the current, the duration of contact, the pathway of the current through the body. Burns, symptoms of electrocution can vary widely and may include burns, muscle spasms, seizures, loss of consciousness, cardiac arrest, respiratory failure, and it goes through treatment, etc. Now, it says that electrocution is a medical term to describe what? An injury or death caused by an electric current passing through the body. Now, I want to ask AI a question. Let's just ask AI a question. A random question. We want to ask you a question, AI. This is a random question. I'm going to ask AI a simple question. If I'm asking the question, is stress slow electrocution? I told you I had a headache for the first time in like 10 years. Uh, yeah, last week, a couple days ago. So here's the question I want to ask you. If electrocution is an electric current passing through the body, is a headache electrocution? Is a headache an electric current passing through my brain? I'm going to ask that question again very simply because we're going to get technical tonight, and that's okay. I got me some Lotus. We can get technical, but we're going to always stay simple and be well comprehended, or at least make it comprehensible. Is a headache an electric current passing through my brain? Is a headache electrocution? Because electrocution is that. So alteration of your natural electric currents, which are taking place, throughout your body, mainly on the cell membrane. Action potential, resting membrane potential, active membrane potential. All right, let's ask AI. Let's just ask AI. Let's see what AI says. Or the search bar, or whatever y'all want to call it. When I have a headache, is an electric current passing through my brain? Yes, the feeling of a headache, especially with auras, is related to electrical and chemical activity in the brain, such as a wave of electrical activity called cortical spreading depression that can spread across the brain's surface. This wave is thought to trigger the symptoms of a headache, and for some people, this can be followed by throbbing pain, sensitivity to light, or nausea. Migraine with aura. For individuals who experience auras before a headache, a wave of electrical activity or similar chemical wave spread across the brain's cortex. This is called cortical spreading depression and can last for several minutes. Triggering symptoms, this wave can spread through different areas of the brain, triggering various symptoms depending on the location. Visual auras, when the wave travels through the visual cortex, it can cause visual auras, which are often the first sign of a migraine. Headache pain, this wave is also believed to cause the headache pain that typically follows the aura. Other causes: anxiety, neurological conditions, nerve irritation. You get it? So now we got stress, we got electrocution, and we got a measurement stick, a headache. Now we can jump into this subject in a way that you might not have suspected that I was going to do. Because you think I'm going to talk about your relationship, your boyfriend, your finances, all this stuff. We're going to do some woo-saw flow breathing. We're going to talk about cloistered exercise. We're going to talk about food science. Hell no, we're not about to do that right now. That's not what we're about to do. It's not what we're about to do. Not what we're about to do. You already know that. Why would I get on here and repeat myself? I'm not ever doing that in life again. Every time I come to talk to you is going to be something you have never heard me say from this point on. So is stress slow electrocution? Yeah, we kind of on that point. But now we got a problem. Let me define stress. Let me define electrocution. Let me use the example of what the headache actually is. So what is stress in the indigenous paradigm? Stress is anything that is out of rhythm. Anything that is out of rhythm. Which means that I'm using rhythm not by opinion, but in law. Meaning, I'll give you an example of what rhythm I'm talking about. I'm talking about wave functions in the electromagnetic spectrum. I'm talking about sound waves. I'm talking about coherence. I'm talking about Schrodinger wave functions, which are different than radiation waves coming from this thing that we're calling light. That's not light. That's what we're talking about. So let me put all of those technical terms in position. If you have someone who is moving and doing capoeira or Tai Chi, they're in rhythm. We created a dance called the electric slide. Everybody know how to do the electric slide if you from certain cultures. You cannot do the electric slide for 20 years. They play damn music, you're going to do the electric slide. You can have someone like Whitney Houston who comes, or Luther Vandross who comes and sings a song. The rhythm is there. You can study their genes. You can study all parts of their physiology and learn about why they're able to move through musical notes like that. So when something is out of rhythm, there's stress. There's stress there. Now, what is electrocution? Electrocution in indigenous thought, hear me out, please. Electrocution in indigenous thought has absolutely nothing to do with electricity. I am challenging the world that even the people who fix your lights do not know what electricity is. They know a technique. They understand alternating current generally, and they can do things. There's only one scientist who understood in the modern world electricity. His name was Charles Steinmetz. Charles Steinmetz. And so whenever I want to go read academic literature on electricity, I'll go read his. They destroyed most of ours, and even though we have some of it, it's not detailing processes. And you can tell if somebody understands electricity by what they invent. Tesla understood the rudiments of electricity. Einstein did not understand electricity. Max Planck understood electricity. Niels Bohr did not understand electricity. Thomas Edison did not understand electricity. Lewis Latimer understood electricity. So a headache electrocution has nothing to do with electricity. Electrocution is actually the disruption of electricity to phase it into something else. And what we call that something else is radiation. Radiation is when you scatter electricity out of its rhythm. But eventually it's going to lead back to its rhythm. Radioactivity is accelerated radiation that is also a part of nature, but it's supposed to be positioned in a certain way. For instance, you can go on a periodic table. You have radioactive elements, radium, plutonium, all the elements after lead. I would even put lead as radioactive based on our science. And so those elements on the periodic table, they're way far away from carbon, oxygen, silicon. They're way far away from that. The reason why they're way far away from that, matter of fact, let me pull it up so you can see, because you don't have to believe nothing that I'm saying. There's a reason why carbon and all the stuff that we're made of are way far away from radium, because you're supposed to be way far away from radium, supposed to be way far away from all of these radioactive elements. But we got a problem. Because I'm getting on this point. First of all, electrocution has nothing to do with electricity. Even their definition of electricity. Electrocution is a disruption of electricity. It is either a very quick burst of a release of radiation or a slow release. So your wife hounding you for 30 years and your head now being bald and your belly now having an inner tube around it is electrocution in the form of high radiation that is now making your cells go from toroidal shapes into expanded cells. The cells itself are getting bigger. Let me say this. You're not always high body fat. The reason why fat is accumulating on your body is actually to help you. I have to talk differently tonight. So let me help you. The reason why you're accumulating fat as you expand is to save your life. Fat is a lipid or an oil. And if you want to neutralize the radioactivity of something, you pack a bunch of oils or fats or lipids around it, because the lipids are going to do what? Neutralize the non-rhythmic, non-coherent radiation. This is why AMA doctors learn primarily to put tinctures in lipids or oils. This is why every cell that you have is surrounded by fat. It is to be a buffer zone to radiation and excessive radioactivity. Because whatever is designing is setting up immunity, not just by T cells, B cells, neutrophils, etc. It is setting up immunity protection. What did it say? That stress impacts endocrine, nervous system, immune system. It is setting up immunity in design. You need fat if you start expanding. If you don't, you will die. You will literally die. Some people who are trying to lose weight, who are taking fat burners, and they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand that their cells themselves are expanded, that expansion is coming through large levels of radiation, and the radiation could be slow over 30 years from a wife, or it could be immediate by you touching a live wire in water. The same thing, the exact same thing is happening. One is happening in 5 seconds, the other happened in 30 years. So people who are my age, 50 years old, who don't have no hair and they got an inner tube belly, is because you made the wrong decision. You got electrocuted. You know how they say, you about to get the electric chair because you committed a crime? God damn it, a wife in the modern world, a wife is a conviction and a sentence by electrocution, nigga. A bad husband who just whatever, maybe he just pays bills or something. I don't know what he's doing. That sister, you just got death by slow electrocution, and you like it. You proud of it. You celebrate it. Oh, we've been married for 35 years. Y'all been married for 35 years. Bald head, yeah, inner tubes, damn near getting a little bit of vitiligo because you got white spots coming out over your body. You don't know why that's happening. Hit the goddamn like button. I guarantee you that you cannot bring one fact to debunk what I'm about to say. And I'm about to get crazier by what I say. It might appear to be crazy. It ain't going to be crazy. It's going to be reality. The reality is that headache that I got last week was electrocution. And it was due to interaction with radiative energy that can disrupt the flow of your natural rhythm, cycles, electricity in the body. And now you're getting electrocuted. You get a headache. You have headaches because of stress. And you need to recognize what stress is, recognize who stress is, and then once you recognize what and who stress is, you do what to it? What does nature do to? I just told you what it does. It insulates itself from it by using oils, fats. It blocks the signal out. Then it restores its own set of rhythms that is operating out, sound, light, electrical, etc. Then it can carry out its functions. Its functions are now predictable. It is aware of its patterns. It knows what it needs in order to sustain life. And the unpredictability has been neutralized that was causing the non-coherent, non-rhythmic, slow electrocution. Now, I'm about to go another way with this. I mentioned the health stuff, but please hit the like button, get the few folks up in here, because I guarantee this is the point that I was trying to make. We don't have to deal with relationships and all of that right now. What we have to deal with is the fact that you are surrounded by nuclear reactors. Now we're about to get into some science. No, let me show you. Just in case you thinking you say, oh, you safe? Now we're dealing with who are the people. So you think these people, oh, these people know what they're doing. Elon Musk knows what he's doing. He's a scientist. Elon, listen, these people are not scientists. They're not. Science means to know. To know is automatically a declarative of something. It's not information. It even comes from an old word that you can do the etymology of. To know comes from Gnostic. Gnostic was subjective learning. You have to get from 0 to 6 subjective learning to ground yourself as a human being. Otherwise, you are elucidating distorted noise, non-coherent information. And information can be put together to make anything. It can be put together to make the damn internet. But it's still non-coherent. It is going to become something that has a byproduct of something that is very dangerous for you. So let me show you what I mean. Ha! Ha! This map is going to explain everything that I put in a post the other day. I put in a post the other day and I said the American Southeast and South is older than the West. And the reason why I said that is because I'm good in science class. I understand that when you have soil, trees, animals, humans in a place, that soil was made from the very radiation that I'm talking about. Radium, plutonium, uranium must be mined because it's underground. The reason why it's underground is because it's radioactive. Radioactive elements underground produce literally small micro explosions. You can consider them bullets. And this is how rock breaks up into soil. This is how soil breaks up into microorganisms. This is how soil and microorganisms generate to produce plants and insects. Shall I keep going? When you have a bunch of rock and canyons, this is young Earth, and it's still radioactive. This is why you don't see no radioactive plants out there. They cannot build radioactive nothing. The ground has too much radiation. It would cause an explosion. You see these places are out here where you got a lot of organic life. The organic life, the crust of the earth, the soil layers, sedimentary layers, and the human layer are literally a buffer zone so that the radioactive things they're making above ground cannot interact with the radioactive things that are under the ground. That's going to cause a problem. That's going to cause you're going to see random sparks of explosions that y'all be seeing around here. Y'all don't know what this is. This is radioactivity. But here is the bigger point. What is a radioactive element? The radioactive element is something that died. It's people, animals, plants, and trees that died. Death is a radiative transition. And so the reason why radioactive substances are so dangerous for you is because they are putrid, dead waste. Would you go eat a dead animal? In the sense of, I got me a deer, it's been out here sitting on a highway for 30 days. That's called carrion. In Islam, we used to call it carrion. You can't eat carrion. It will kill you. You can leave something on the counter. It could be a salad. You could leave it there for 20 weeks. That plant-based salad is going to break down, and now it's in a state that you can't eat it. If you eat it, you're going to get stomach poison. It is the radiation. I am giving you a goddamn quadruple entendre right now. The dead cannot be amongst the living. They will radioactively take them out. You have to recognize who is actually alive around you and who the fuck is not. That's where your stress is coming from. You don't recognize who is dead or alive, and you don't have a testing mechanism. You think that these fads that you have learned are giving you the discernment that you need, but you still stressed. That's the evidence. The stress is the evidence. The stress is the evidence. The stress is nature's evidence. You know, when nature talks, it don't give a fuck what you believe. It will wipe you out for listening to other things other than her. Now let's get back to the non-subjective, the objective. We're looking at the fact that all of these nuclear facilities are bringing up putrid waste from deep down into the earth up because of its instability and its ability to be used for what? Fuel? Are you kidding me? No. This stuff is getting dumped by the tons in water systems, in rivers and seas and other places. It is contaminating the water. It is contaminating the air. It is contaminating the physical spaces. And here is another proof. Anybody knows who does this. When you leave the United States of America and you go into an area that does not have all of this radioactive material in its environment, the first thing that you notice is all your inflammation goes away. Your inflammation is what? It is the radiative expansion of cells beyond their toroidal shape. And they're doing that because it's slow electrocution happening to you in the form of stress. Stress is slow electrocution because of some environmental or now internal hazard that is taking you off rhythm. To take you off rhythm is to take you out of purpose. To take you out of purpose is for you to be dead. But the real death, because the death that you are calling death is not the real death. That's what I'm here to also say scientifically. It is not. It is not the real death. The real death is to have an untimely, arrhythmic end to your purpose. That's death. And so let's do some science study here. The number one atom above ground for insects, microorganisms, plants, people is what? Carbon. It's carbon. It is carbon. When I go into the soil, it's still carbon. When I go just below the soil to the rock, the sediment, it changes. It changes by way of a process that tells you what the periodic table really is. It becomes silicon. Silicon is an analog of carbon. When you change the pressure, which is the environment, air pressure, everything, temperature, heat, where silicon is, it literally becomes carbon. You push carbon into the ground, guess what happens? The pressure changes and it becomes silicon. Then it becomes germanium. Then it becomes cobalt. You go deeper, it becomes rhodium. The radiative active elements are from the death of what used to be on the surface, seeping down into the earth through the water, pulling it down. It's supposed to be under the ground. You're not supposed to be building technology by digging up radioactive elements and bringing them to the surface. You have just destroyed the buffer zone and you have contaminated the public. Now the public is drinking, breathing, touching, interacting with these radioactive substances. It's in the food. It's everywhere. Now the people are eating it and their perception is not catching it, but it's still stressing them out. And it's showing up in the form of massive inflammation and slow electrocution, aka stress. So now you want to know why I'm involved in politics and science? It's because you're not about to change nothing unless you're involved in politics and science. Politics gives you the leverage to get elected into position to make decisions for the group. Science gives you the ability to be the recommending board to the politician to say, oh no, this is not global warming. This is something else. And there's a reason why a little black boy from South Carolina can remember this, is because I still have the technology in my skin, which you call concentrated carbon and melanin, which is the design buffer zone to protect one against radiation. You don't believe me? Actinium is an element. It's a radioactive element. What is it doing in Neanderthals? Because actinic keratosis is actinium bound to keratin. And guess what happens? When they interact with the sun, they don't have a buffer zone. The sun is radioactively killing white people through the expansion of their cells, calling it a disease that you call melanoma or cancer. Cancer is just the breakup of the cytoskeleton, the rapid expansion of a cell. And it's spreading atomically, not genetically. Let me rewind that so you can get it. So you can get it. You can get it really good. Black people survive bottlenecks. Go look the word up. Bottleneck. Bottleneck means the population declines down because of some large world catastrophe going on. Who can survive a catastrophe? The only catastrophe you could ever have in life is radioactivity or adverse radiation or stress, and have the inability or don't have the technology in your physiology or in your mind to protect yourself. Black people have melanin because we have survived every radioactive event on this planet. We have self-designed in our spacesuits a lipid protein called melanin that we use, and we literally use it every day out in the sun. You go out in the sun. What happens to white people does not happen to you because you have been here. This is how we know who has been here. Your body is only technology. We just have to come down to understanding that. It's a different technology, but it's a technology. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the fact that there's nothing that they can bring out in nature to disprove what I'm saying right now. And the problem is we have all of these facilities that cost a whole whopping amount of money. They're spending all this money and they're still dumb. And you look up to these people. You want your son or daughter to be a nuclear physicist. You want your son and daughter to be a scientist. You want your son and daughter to go to an Ivy League school, get in debt, and learn how to become a radioactive processor pimp for a bunch of low-life draconian mutants. That's your fucking goal in life. You ain't shit, nigga. Like, literally, you ain't shit. You act for somebody who knows a little bit of reality, you fucking stink. Like, you literally fucking stink. And you think you're so smart, you're prancing around, you're on Facebook talking about your degrees, and then you start talking down on people because they don't have all of these things that you have, and you don't realize you're really, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you're really a part of the problem. And you're going to add to the problem, because if you become a politician, you're going to be so dumb and so tied into making sure that you are a part of the company like Nancy Pelosi that gets benefits from the legislation. Y'all know how this game is played. And then you're going to be on the other side as a scientist. And you're going to be arguing for or against global warming, and none of that shit has anything to do with what the fuck is going on the earth. But you regurgitate that shit. You're in a lab. You're in a lab. You're doing the experiments and you don't know what the fuck you're looking at. What you're looking at is people who are the victims of radioactivity, who don't have the technology, trying to act like they're at the lead of technology and instituting the radioactive culture. Now, this radioactive culture moves itself all the way into the zone of humans in a very fascinating way. Now you should know, if you're going to attack a population, which gender are you going to attack the easiest? Oh, the woman is the easiest to deceive by nature. She's the magnetic component. Get her off rhythm? Oh, shit. It's over. Everything's going to become radioactive. Explosive. We're talking the periodic table now. We're talking elements, and we're talking the fact of why you can't just take selenium, magnesium, calcium, and sodium by themselves. Why do you need sodium with chloride? Because if you took sodium by itself, it would make your cells expand through slow electrocution. This is why when you see people who just take in all of this salt that they're making from glass and other shit, that's lacking the chloride. It's not a sea salt, a natural salt, sodium chloride. It's another mix, and it's making their cells expand through radioactivity. But you balance that chemically with some chloride. You have neutralized the sodium and you've made it a nutrient now. Do you understand what it takes to be a scientist and understand chemistry? Because now you got people out here who are confused as fuck, and the scientists aren't telling them anything. You could go right now to GNC, Sprouts, Whole Foods, and see a whole bottle of selenium or zinc or any other metal. Those are radioactive if they are not placed into becoming mineral salts, and they do that through plants or through chemistry. That's why everybody can't just be putting herbs together. You know what the fuck you doing? Like, you literally don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're following your intuition. Your intuition is the same intuition that puts you in a fucked up life. Okay. No, that's not how this works. That's called irresponsibility. That's called lying to yourself. That's called the world of mirrors. You're stuck in it now. You can't get out of it. Every time you see yourself, you're running from yourself. What the fuck you think that Dracula really means? This nigga is literally getting a literal 720 spinner electron image, and he's denying the fact that it's there. Oh, you can't see yourself. Stop playing. The reason why people are, this is what I mean. I like to play, but no, this is the time to stop playing. Stop the fuck playing. Why would you play around when you could be safer? Let me come off this image. Why would they play around? Why would they play around, bro? Like, stop playing. You know what's going to happen on this earth? Let me explain to you the danger of what I'm saying. I got to put this in another language. It only takes a little bit of radioactive elements to create a disaster zone. They had a situation in San Francisco. It was with the Navy, and it happened at a college. I forget the name of the college. I might be able to pull it up. But anyway, they had to clear a 20-mile radius in a few hours. This was back early 1900s. Because of some radioactivity shit that happened in a lab with the U.S. military and some college people. Motherfuckers died and everything. Had to clean the area. I'm going to pull that up at a later date. I'll post it on the social media. But I read through these articles because I'm sitting here and I understand the information in entendres. That's just the way that we think. So we're looking at the external world. We're like, yo, all this radiation is out here at all these nuclear plants. Who's this stupid? Like, who is this stupid? There's a lot of smart people on Earth. Like, I talk to a lot of people outside of certain demographics of people. And there's some people with a lot of information. Let's just say that. But this is the absolute truth. Most of the people who are making decisions for human beings, state level, through institutions that control, the use of resources to produce energy. Like, yo, most of these people, you need to understand what I'm trying to say to you. Most of these people are just a part of mob psychology, masked through institutions. This is why you can't solve a lot of problems. You literally don't have the people. They're the same ones that are born in the engine of dysfunction too. They're under stress. You go to their job, he's 45, bro, he already got the ball spot going all the way down the middle. He's the lead scientist, showing the radiation effects on his body. This is not good. And even if this can be polished and put in very diplomatic package and delivered through the tribe through other means besides me, I don't have a problem with that. What I'm trying to say is, bro, this is not just a problem. This is a problem that could cause an extinction level event in your lifetime. There needs to be a political push to deal with the fact of the true dangers of radioactivity in our physical environment, how it is impacting us, our general health, and the true nature of what could happen very quickly. On a very local level, we need to understand where stress actually is. through a very simple natural law explanation. And once we get that explanation, we have to build our culture around that reality. We breeded economic poverty because people have been operating through monogamy. Do you understand monogamy equals an algorithmic outcome of a certain percentage of poverty in the population? Do you understand that that's a function of it? Because you can look at the world, at civilizations that did not live by that way, and see what they built and kind of like how they built it and why it was so efficient. What makes people more efficient? Because you have higher levels of cooperation. Higher levels of cooperation with a controlled, scaled competition to drive more cooperation is a healthy society. Not a healthy society where everybody's competing and they're dumb and the level of cooperation is lower. Right, that's radioactive madness. Now, think about you or I or anybody who's saying, I'm not getting involved in no politics. That is a symptom of a real mental disorder. Somebody who is absolutely not interested in learning anything about science. That's a mental disorder. You are science. You're walking science. And you need to be involved in politics. Let me get some loaders. Listen, let me talk to the men now. Bruh, you cannot be dumb and be a leader. The reason why you can't be dumb and be a leader is because the women are going to run all over you. They're going to distort you. They're going to redirect your plan. You're just going to get put in the blender. And women aren't stupid. Like, they know who can lead and who can't lead by just doing an assessment. So the problem in our community is men are not, for the most part, they are not capable leaders. Not in the way that we need to be. We can improve on that very quickly. Because after that is there, that's a formula, bro. Like that, you can slide stuff. The stress leaves. We know how to handle stress. Like, stress is the necessary modality to prove you know how to stay on rhythm. You need a little stress every now and then. Throw a little bit of stress in there. What's the stress for? The stress is to prove you recognize rhythm, you appreciate rhythm, and you know how to get back on rhythm, which is back on focus, back on purpose, back on, yeah, you need a little bit of, yeah, great. Now, let's get back to business. But to make stress the culture and our adjustment factor, like the reaction response, if you made your culture the reaction and stress the culture, bro, you got the whole thing. The whole thing is, it's a problem. Culture is created through family. Family is man, woman, and child. Man, woman, and children. Man, women, and children. Let's get it all the way right. God damn it. And we have to be intelligent enough to explain that to people. Because a lot of people are having experiences with stress and they're in denial. So first thing you got to ask your clients, as I'm a doctor, hey, let's go over your diagram. Like, okay, we might have 5 things on our intake form. What's your level of stress 1 to 10 with this, finances, relationship, whatever, health? Because we're getting to, when I say stress is the number 1 problem, and then we say, if you don't know how to breathe, you cannot heal. Now you see, the breathing is going to do what? It's going to get you back in rhythm. That's your rhythm. That's your regular rhythm. The breath and the heart. You got a drum, right? And you got a wind instrument. Then you got strings, vestibular system, literal. Then you got the fire. And we're using all of these instruments. You're listening to the sound, you're talking and communicating, using your breath, the wind instruments, using your sight. You're using all these things as a communication tool. How well are you using them? That's culture. Culture teaches you how to use them, but you have to learn subjective before you learn objective. Objective is not what's the primary thing teaching a child. The child is using its senses, but it does not have logic yet. And reason. Those are things that are built later. It is using its observation skills to imagine being able to do the thing because it barely understands the difference between imagination and real. That's when you start to distort reasoning and logic. But the subjective world is a real dimension of thought, and the imagination and reality are the same. And inside of that space, you have to allow for that imagination to grow in rhythm by what it sees. So now you see what it's looking at. It's not looking at logic and reason. The child is looking at rhythms. Oh, is there a father there? Or is only my mom by herself? Is it my dad here by himself? Or is it a woman? Is my mother there? Rhythm. How does my dad talk to my mom? How does my mom talk to my dad? Subjective, imprints. And now, as it's absorbed all these things that it is experiencing in rhythm, it expects to live out that rhythm in the other worlds of people. This is why I don't worry about my children as they grow up and they experience other things. I'm like, bro, like I was there for everybody through 0 through 6 and still there now, but through the vital years. Like I was the one that was watching you come out of the womb. I'm not worried about what these people like. My imprint is all there. You can't get rid of it. Sorry. We won that battle because we did it with awareness. Now you mix 0 through 6 and your child grew up in dysfunction. Now you got 7 to 13 to try to reorganize the whole child's whole rhythm. Because if you don't succeed by 13, that child will grow up dysfunctional. Guaranteed, this is a mathematical equation. You cannot get out of this. You have not been taught reality. That is the problem. And the reality is you always have carbon above ground as the atomic element of choice. You always have silica. As you go down, you're going to get more radioactive elements. And they're supposed to be underground. The whole creation. Do I have my guitar down here? I don't. I might have to go get it. But I want to show you that everything in creation is literally, and I'm not supporting string theory by this, but it's like strings on an instrument. And radium is underground like those high frequency, tight strings on the cello or a viola or a guitar or a harp. And carbon is like right there in the middle of the tones. And that's where we are. We're in this zone. This is the zone we're supposed to be in. This is how you know they don't understand chemistry. This is why we need a new periodic table. This is why we say we have masculine and feminine elements. This is why you're telling you atoms don't have protons and electrons. You need to relearn this. The reason why you need to relearn this is you are atoms. Why are you learning a false history about yourself? You thought that they just changed the history about whether we was from Africa or not. No, they're changing the history of your design. They're changing the information of your design. They're delivering it to you off rhythm, incorrectly, wrong. And if you understood it, you would know why we are saying the things that we're saying. You would know why. You could check it then, right? Always has been peer reviewed. There are only 3 laws in the universe. You could peer review anything with those 3 laws. That's how simple life is. Yeah, all the complexion in the world that y'all trying to decipher, you know 3 things, you could use that as a litmus test to measure everything. That's how crazy this world is. And you can hear when somebody doesn't understand those 3 things. They will speak that kind of thing. They'll try to defend being a single mother or a single father. They'll defend the reverse rainbow flag. They won't understand why we're saying food science versus plant-based. They won't understand. They won't understand why we're saying your sea moss gotta be radioactive if it got 92 goddamn minerals in it. Yeah, let's get them off stage. Hit the like button. How your sea moss got 92 elements on the periodic table, and you don't understand that some of that shit is radioactive. Your sea moss is about to make you spread out into the Goodyear blimp. We don't have to make nothing up. Hold on. If y'all not on YouTube, you're not going to be able to see some of the comments I'm making. So let's go back to our premise. Is stress slow electrocution? The answer is yes. What type of slow electrocution are we receiving? We have a culture that has been bred against nature that is stressing us out. It's showing up on our bodies. We don't know how to breathe. Breathing is a science of what? Compression and expansion. The 2 rhythms of the universe, masculine and feminine, the poles. And by learning to breathe, we now set the heart. The heart is a valve. How do you know the heart is controlled by the breath? How do you know? You're not stupid. Go take your ass outside and run into a full sprint and have to start breathing hard. What's going to happen to your heart? Then take some slow breaths through the nose to elucidate the nitric oxide. You can even hum. Release. You're releasing carbon dioxide, which is death. That's the old you. You're blowing out. And the new you, you're breathing in. Rhythm. What's going to happen to your heart? It's going to slow down once you start breathing slower. The heart is a valve of the lungs. Breathing sets your posture. Breathing sets the flexibility in your hips. Breathing sets the ability of you to have rhythm and dance. It also sets the rhythm of whether your brain thinks you're in danger or not. 30 years of not breathing right. Because of 30 years of slow electrocution and stress. Now you got aneurysm. Why you getting an aneurysm? Stroke. Because the body is rings of light that you call atoms, and they come in pairs. And it's up to you to make sure those rings of light, because you could cut everything open as a vessel. Cut my arm open. Horizontal. All you're going to see is what? Bone with a hole in it. Then you're going to see arteries and veins. Little tubes, hole in it. So some of them are flexible, some of them are hard. You're going to see muscles. Same thing. Tubes. Those go really small till you get down to what you call an atom. An atom is a ring of light. It is like a little donut. And what's blowed up inside of it is the same way as you would think about putting air in a tire. The air from the tire is from the outside. The tire is made of rubber. And then you have air on the inside. And then you have a little component that you're going to put a cap on to seal it. Well, the universe is different. Literally, that black stuff that you see out there is a mind. It can think things into existence, and thinking in this existence creates heat. Heat spirals in the form of a polar heat field, and the ends clamp together like a magnet. And it's sealed by the cold of space. Space is cold, so you got hot versus cold. And these little rings of light are the thoughts of God, and they become matter. This is why everything is made in a ring except for carbon. Carbon is a sphere. It's the perfect sphere. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is when you start to learn it, you'll start to learn why your greatest technology is going to be using magnets. Like, my arms ain't sticking together, right? But if I went over here, and got my magnets, I can make them stick together. So this little component right here can explain stress and lack of stress to you in a very efficient manner, just like it's in my body. But the magnet is special because it also shows you the invisible light that makes everything up. Literally. These are attracted, right? You see how they're attracted? They're coming together. Literally. If I put one on my arm right here on my hand, it'll snatch it up. Watch this. If I turn this has how many magnets? How many poles to it? They'll tell you a magnet like this only has 2 poles. It has 6. It has 6. All right. The poles are 180 degrees apart. If I turn this, if I turn it, it's going to repel. And this is science. Let me show you. If I turn this over, now they're not going together. They're going to go past each other. If I turn it again, they come together. Let me explain something to you. You might seem like, oh, what are you talking about? This is stupid. It's not. Your greatest technology on the planet right now is made using these. Go to CERN. You think CERN is trying to find a guard particle? That's what you think? What do they have there? They have a particle accelerator and a particle decelerator. And they have an underground component of tunnels of giant magnets. Now, why are they underground? They're underground because of the radiative state of underground. Like I said to you, the mineral charts have the decomposed putrid minerals on the bottom. They are the most explosive because they represent putridity of what used to be living. And what they do is they have a radiation field that breaks down rocks. The rocks become soil over a long period of time. Or you can make it short if you have a technology that could do that, but it would cause radioactivity. Point is, you got soil, you got microorganisms, you got plants, you got animals, you got people. All of that can be explained by magnets and light. The magnet proves that light guides matter. And when you get deep into this science, you understand that. This is why I could confidently say there are no electrons and protons. I know that. I could prove this with a magnet. Magnets don't have 2 poles. Magnets have 6 poles and a toroidal field. I can make this magnet weightless by using other magnets with it. We can make things float. We could turn on electrical outlets by causing these to spin and having a conductor. We do that. It's all around us. When I went over the language of light, what did I show you? I showed you the binary system. I showed you why it used groups of 8. Light uses groups of 8. 7 in a pattern and then a repeat of the first one. It's music. I can prove to you. John Nealon was the first one to try to develop a periodic table. Guess what he used? Music. He failed. Then Mendeleev came and stole his information. I put this in this book right here. How the periodic table was created was based on music. All of the inner scientists know that. And you're being lied to about how they can discover a new metal. This is how I know there's certain metals, there's 6 elements between hydrogen and helium that are not being discussed. They're there. You can do experiments. Shell, they found deuterium and tritium, which are so-called isotopes. No, they're not. And so this is why I wrote this book. I wrote this book. Let's go deeper. I wrote this book because, okay, John Nealon. Let's just open this up. Let me show you this because I got to show you this. Showing you this does better than me just talking. All right. The entire periodic table is based on music. What's one of the things it's based on? This is known, and all of the companies that are using high tech, anti-gravity, Lockheed Skunk Works, these people know this stuff. Like, I'm not making shit up. There's no need to make nothing up. John Nealon, I mentioned him. Let's show it. Let's show you why Terrence Howard is crazy. We know Terrence Howard is crazy. He was stealing somebody's work and wasn't giving him credit. Then didn't know what he was talking about. John Nealon, Discovery of a Periodic Law, 1884. So he goes over the fact that in the Chemical News in 1864, he brought about the periodic table. And he was using music to do it. He just didn't know how to scale things properly, and he didn't know about the inert gases and how they should be placed. So his scale was off, but he was trying to do it. This is something ancient, bro. This is ancient, indigenous, ancient, Tamari technology. When you say the 7 heavens or the Samawatin and El Ard, you know, people don't know what they're talking about. That's these sacred 7. John Newland's 1864 article. Then Mendeleev came later. This is the current periodic table. Let's see. Do I have Mendeleev in there? I know I don't, but I don't need him. So let me break this down to you. The elements come in pairs of 3 with a crown element, like carbon or silicon here. The gases, what you call noble gases, they are not what you, none of these are not anything what you think they are. They are rings of light, and they become spheres here. Why is this important to you? The reason why this is important to you, because I'm going to tell you, you need this in order to reduce stress. You need to know what you are. You are walking rings of light that they call atoms. You have attraction to certain things and you have repulsion to other things. There's a reason for that. Certain people and circumstances could be dangerous to you. And you're not aware of that because you need to be more aware of who you are. And so John Newland, Mendeleev attempted to steal John Newland's process. Then other scientists came, Rutherford, Niels Bohr, then Walter Russell, Tesla, and Steinmetz came. And the reason why I'm mentioning Steinmetz, because of the electricity, Walter Russell, because of his work on the periodic table, and Tesla, because of his work on electricity and magnetism and what he understood. And I'm only pointing this out right now because I'm telling you there are other things in the periodic table that need to be there. But despite that fact, this is your life zone: carbon, oxygen, all of this. This is your life zone. When you introduce radioactive elements, you are introducing a very high-pitched note to a tone that's going. And now you're going to be out of sync or out of rhythm. The radium, the uranium, the plutonium that is under the ground is supposed to be there to help make soil. That's how nature designed it. It created a buffer zone between these things. Neanderthals who are in power as political officials and scientists who have you baffled are going to destroy the planet that you live on if you don't learn this information. You are stressed out because you are not in rhythm. What are you here to do? You cannot tell me you know what you're here to do and you think that 12 million people came across the transatlantic slave trade. Or you think that atoms have nucleus and protons and electrons. Why is that important? Because an atom is a polymorphic particle that responds to your mind. Mind is primary, matter is secondary. You need to do things to feed your mind. You need to be around people that are in rhythm with your mind. You need to stop trying to control anything besides yourself. You are off rhythm when you do that. You need to stop listening to white people. How can someone walking around with actinium, which is a radioactive... Let me prove this point. I got to prove this. I got to prove this shit, bro. Let me prove it. Y'all just think I just be up here talking. Oh, he up here talking about white people radioactive. That's crazy. Y'all crazy. He out here talking about white people radioactive. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? All right. Let's go. Actinium. Where you at? Let me find actinium. All the post-lead elements. There we go. I got it now. I got it. Here we go. Actinium. You see it? God damn it. Let me get it right. Actinium, element 89. Radioactive. What is actinic keratosis? My dude, this shit gets crazy, bro. Like this element right here is the element that is produced in the skin of white people in response to the sun. Actinic keratosis. They become radioactive. Their cells start in their skin start expanding due to the fact that they cannot handle the radiation. They don't have a design buffer zone that tells you they're just like the area that has no soil. They just got here. They're radioactive. They need help. You want them to lead. They need to know why they even look like they look. And how did that happen? The story of evolutionary biology is doing a disservice to the academia because now it is not a problem-solving mechanism because it wants to hide things that are uncomfortable. And that's okay. Doesn't mean everybody's going to listen to me. That's not even the immediate objective. The immediate objective is to communicate because communication itself is a reproducible act in every qubit of this known universe. Meaning I know when my sound of my voice stops, it goes into a fulcrum of light. It does not go away. And now it literally has the ability to be transferred at any time, because to be transferred in this universe is to understand that every point in the universe has all the information every other point has. Get the point? Come on in. Come on in, Jay the Snake. We got somebody in who's saying this is pseudo judo. I dare you. I dare you. Come on. I dare you. Let me put it in the chat. Jay Snake the Great. Come on in. So what I'm explaining from this is the premise of radioactivity and its dangers. You should not be using plutonium, radium, uranium, extracting it from the ground because it is there as a result of what died on the ground. This is how rocks become soil. And it's supposed to stay under the ground in layers below the crust. So by the time you get to the crust, you have a stable form of sediment and then topsoil that things can grow in. If you start reversing all of these processes, you are creating an environmental disaster. And this stress is all over the people. And so, I thought you was trying to diss me, Jay Snake the Great. I heard pseudo judo. I thought you meant me. If you didn't mean me, my bad. But and so what we are simply saying is this. This process happens in multiple places. By the time you get to cortisol, epinephrine, and all of the other things that are being secreted inside of your body, you need to understand that this form of stress is altering the action potentials in all of your cells, in your brain, and your nervous system. Now let's get on the nervous system real quick because I did want to talk about it, and that's why I brought out these goddamn magnets. That's what I wanted to say. The nervous system is special, and we went over the studies that talked about the quantum nature of the nervous neurons and the tryptophan cytoskeletons. We had a whole conversation about that on this channel. Reason why I brought out these magnets is because something happens when you get high. It's considered why quantum violates the Pauli exclusion principle in science. And what happens in a magnet? Like, why is this? Why are these sticking together? Now, if I give me a book, why is it that I can put this on this book like this right here? Right? Y'all see it? I could put that on that book just like that. Just like that. And put something in space and it goes. Now, if I do that same thing, I'm going to flip it though. Flip it over. Now that I flipped it over, not going to get the same reaction. You're going to get something that pushes that away. You think that's just the North Pole and the South Pole. Like I said, they don't just have a North and South Pole. They don't just have a North and South Pole. The sides stick together. The bottoms, all the sides stick together. And so there's several poles in our Earth, in a magnet, etc. But the reason why these magnets are so dope is because they're doing something that causes that repulsion and all those other things. This is how you can get anti-gravity tech, etc. What are they doing? Well, in the standard model of physics, when you have what you're calling electrons, they come in pairs of spin. One has up spin, one has down spin. That's technical words you don't need to know, but they kind of cancel each other out and they keep the electron there. If you have loose electrons, and we're using the term that you're familiar with, all right, and they are not paired, and they now have spin in the same direction, they create a magnet. So let me tell you what happens to your nervous system when you get high. In your nervous system, all biology is following the Pauli exclusion principle because we have what you call stable atoms. Their so-called electron fields are stable because they are paired, allegedly. That's not what's happening in our communication. But we're going to use that language. So now what happens in the nervous system is you get a substance that can now generate on the atomic level the same violation of the Pauli exclusion principle. Those electrons now start pointing spin in the same direction as opposed to opposite direction. And what that does is, same thing as this, is when I flip this over, now it's repulsed. That is what you call in mathematics 720 degrees spinner. You can go look at Paul Dirac and look at Dirac's experiment. It explains it, but let me explain it to you in the hood fashion so you can understand it. It means now that you're now using chemistry, and now instead of being bound to the physical world through the laws that you know that keep an eyeball where they are or whatever, you are now adjusting to interact at a higher rate with a field of energy we call the light field. It looks invisible, but it's there. And this is why you can go into those experiences with ayahuasca, DMT, etc. You get all kinds of what you're calling downloads, because now you have induced biochemistry in your body to open yourself up to that that dimension of the light spectrum. It's the same thing when you remove stress and you get in the flow state. When you see Michael Jordan doing some incredible stuff and you're wondering how is he able to, Steph Curry just goes into this lethal shooter, is out there just in a zone. Like, how are these people able to induce that electrical state in their biology? This has to do with carbon. This has to do with melanin. This has to do with chemistry, and this has to do with the light field's impact. And it has to do with radiation, rates of radiation. And so oftentimes you'll find that women are more intuitive because they are in function and design radiative, and they have an affinity to the light field. But it's distorted through trauma and all kind of other things. The point that I'm making here is, in the future, in our textbooks, in our experiments, we will be able to run the experiments, inventions, whatever you want to call it, to exude these principles in science. And it's as simple as saying, okay, we want to create a device that impacts the human nervous system so that we get less tired if we're carrying out a physical activity of some sort. How would you design a suit or something that you could wear around particular places, maybe the ankles and the wrist, in order to induce blood flow or some other biological activity or some other principle in order to get that end result? That is science. Science is not digging up radium, digging up uranium, digging up plutonium out of its natural environment, not even knowing why it's there scientifically, and then bringing it up to scale so that you could get more explosive energy out of something that's more unstable. Why would you do that when you can convert the air into energy? You can increase the solar impact of solar by creating more cold in the solar cells. Why not do that? The reason why is because of politicians and scientists now, and the private sector. Now you have people who have vested interest in keeping people dumb, and so now they'll do stuff in the private that they won't bring in the public. Well, what do we need? We need a whole jurisdiction that can do in the public and the private what it desires, that can share the information through educational networks so that we can make sure that people are learning at the curve that they need to learn at, and that they know that stress is slow electrocution. They're not going to surround their life with slow electrocution. They're going to surround their life with that which is functional, heterosexual, family, community, and they're going to build out greatness. And so essentially what we're saying is we're focused on the wrong things. How could we focus on the right things? We're not even thinking about the right things in a way that we could think about them. This is the opportunity to spark that thinking. Because we can protect the plants. We can protect the environment. We just got to have the right people in place. And we got to look at science differently. Science is like, okay, if we want to have public debates on these things, we can have the public debates on these things. I'm telling you, we could take magnets. We already do this everywhere, like magnets, crystals, all this stuff. This is the technology that stuff is actually running off of. Why is the periodic table in octaves of 8? Really 7 with 2 inert gases, but why is it's in the octave still? Because when you go through musical notes, you go from 1 to 7, and then the 8th is a repeat of 1. I can show you this in the cartomancy. This is why aces and kings in certain types of partnerships always perform well. This is why 2s and queens will always perform well. This is why 3s and jacks will always perform well. This is why 4s and 10s, or people with multiples of these, will always have a certain function. This is why 5s and 9s can work well in certain environments and things, and they mean something together. But the cards, the periodic table, and music are the same thing. Matter of fact, let me say it. They're the exact same thing. We see them as different because, of course, We talk about cartomancy and Zulukin. Oh, that's a cultural thing from the Mayans, and then he's saying that that's connected to tarot some kind of way. What does that have to do with sound in chemistry? That is the education of it. We taught children games. The 52 card deck is not cards. It is an ancient system of reading, just like you read binary. Well, it's not binary. It's what a quantum computer is. It's qubits. It's superposition. It's beyond binary. It has the binary aspects. All of this is one. So you're looking for the grand unified field theory. You got to make life merge into one subject. Life is literally one subject, and death is a part of that subject. The death that we are taught is not death. I used to say this sometimes, and I never wanted to go into it because I didn't want people to be spooky, because then they're going to start thinking that they're going off into like Jannah and paradise, another dimension, in a way that they understand that. Like they're going to get off into a whole bunch of pseudo talk. That's not what this is. This is a whole nother conversation. But this information is united, it's integrated. And so the people who study the periodic table, who learn biochemistry and chemistry, they need a different way of learning the information. The reason why they're bringing radioactive substances to the surface for energy is because someone is directing them to who has influence, power, money, political, all of that, and they're making the scientists do what they want them to do. Scientists are for hire. Where is your community? Or are you even in the mindset that you're worthy to step to anyone that you feel is out of your league? Some people used to say that to me sometimes. Man, won't you just, chill. Enjoy life. Become a millionaire. Go off in the sunset. Yeah, you and your family, like, yeah, bruh. Everybody is here for a purpose. That might be your purpose. Well, that ain't mine. And so if we want to get here and shift things into gear, first thing we do have to do is be in our purpose and prepare ourselves. Because me in another setting, I will have to address this subject maybe a little bit different. I'm having fun on my YouTube channel. What if they brought me for a public debate at Harvard on this whole construct that you were talking about, radioactivity? No, the nuclear power plants are perfectly safe. This is the procedures and protocols that we go through to. I'm telling you, the fifth zone of elements is your safe place. We divided the periodic table up into 10 zones. The fifth zone, the carbon zone, is your safe place. That's what everything around you is made of. 99% of your body is made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. One percent is made of mineral salts and mineral oxides. 1%. So carbon in the form of lipids, carbohydrates, and carboxylate acids in the form of amino acids. That's your nutrition, plus the what? Vitamins and minerals. And your body makes most of the vitamins anyway, inside, like vitamin D3, vitamin C. Your body can make all those vitamins. But you do need to take them in, though. at this stage because we have to breed our bodies to be a little bit stronger. Yeah. We got to do that. And then once we breed our body to get stronger, our children will be different. And we can bring the technology out to help this process out. All we got to do is understand the basics. This is why I'm focusing on the periodic table. That's all the atoms. And if you can kind of make a story out of that for life, you can do a lot. I mean, you got the colors there, you got the chemistry there, you got technology, inventions and stuff there, you got a culture there, you got music there, you got everything is there. So that's a good landing ground. And then when we do an analysis like this, is stress slow electrocution. Bro, look at your belly. Look at your hair. They got dudes on suicide missions. You cannot build anything with radioactive women. Somebody got to listen. That's what's not happening enough. All right, so let's do some closing remarks. Closing. Grand closing. Let's get you this book first. This is the ebook. You need to study. Like, you need to study. Bruh, you need to study. Sis, you need to study. You need to learn. And you need to learn the type of information that will put you in a position to feel confident about yourself, your brain, your body, the ability to care for yourself. You can go to that link to get the actual books. Let me put another link in here. Hey, look. Y'all get me up to debate some of y'all favorite scientists. I'm already asking for a debate with African ancestry. Y'all say y'all doing genetic genealogy. Let's question that. How are you doing genetic genealogy? And telling people like where they're geographically, historically located at based on what you are looking at as far as genes. Nah, buddy, that's not how this goes. And so, yes, you are. So now let's go over some of this remedy and then get up out of here. The flow breathing technique. The flow breathing technique follows the same radiation technique. Carbon dioxide is, well, first of all, it's more than carbon dioxide, but let's just use carbon dioxide. It represents the dead part of you being released into the environment. It's going to go through a cycle. The breathe in nitric oxide. That's going to cause relaxation, dilation of the arterial aspects. It's going to create a nice relaxation in the smooth muscle. You may have smooth muscle and regular skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle connected to your bones. The smooth muscle is in your organs. Every cell is smooth organs. And so now they're making contractions as well. But when your nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system is now as a nervous system receiving a non-coherent communication with the field that it's in, the light field, now you got a problem. You got a disturbance signal. And remember what we were talking about. The nervous system, it's supposed to be kind of tiered to what you call in the quantum, but it's really the light field. It's supposed to be tuned a certain type of way. This is why I keep telling people, you see me drinking Lotus all the time, whatever. I'm conditioning my body to make the antigens internally more often, because we do make antigens internally. And the receptors of the cells are in a certain state, and they're using conductors. They're using metals. So those metals have a vector. That's what I'm trying to say. I was talking about this earlier, and it connects you. It's a connection. You're not detached. Stress detaches you. And stress is contagious. Just like you share some pathogens with someone or something. You can share disruptive frequencies. People feel them. You feel them all the time. You complain about them. I don't like your energy. Yeah, that's a real thing. And so now the breathing releases death, takes in life, and those are cycles. It's setting the cycle for every atomic ring, every atom. When it's like a tire. When it starts to lose that heat compression, what's going to happen? It's going to go back into the cold, black, light field space. Back to the zero. But it's supposed to do that in a rhythmic, slow fashion, not in a catastrophic, sudden cardiac arrest, radioactive disruption of your light field. Now, this conversation can get very deep, because when that does happen, that's also a sign of violation of law. And so just think of the light field having its own police force. Don't invoke fate. Stay with destiny. We're still dealing with superposition, but we can see the cards. So we still got to make a choice. And observation makes the what? Double slit experiment show you that electrons are what? Particles? No, they're polymorphic, and now they're condensing into a reality. So this is an algorithm. Don't get mad at the result if you're not mad at the cause. So we have to study nature's laws. Nature's laws are absolutely beautiful. They are easy to understand. They are not complex whatsoever. The only part that's complex is the behavior of stress that is causing a slow electrocution for you, knowing that now you need to make that out breath in right tone, like breathe. 3 times a day, I go somewhere and I'm doing my breathing. Food science and nutrition. I'm teaching you food science when I'm teaching you the periodic table. Why am I mentioning the fact that sodium, magnesium, calcium, not as a mineral salt or oxide or carbonate or something of that nature, if it's in and not in that molecular compound, it's toxic to you? Because metals are conductors. They're supposed to be there to be used for what they're supposed to be used for. Just like this magnet. They carrying out light field communication, buddy. You're not supposed to be over drenched with them. You're not supposed to be getting them in their isolated format, that's a metal. That's a metal. That's a metal. That's going to make you radioactive, literally. Calcium carbonate, safe. Calcium, not safe. That's why you put the minerals in the soil, right? Broken rock, radioactive. What's going to happen when this is soil? Water, microorganisms are going to start using that stuff. The microorganisms can deal with radioactive functions. How do we ultimately know that in science? Because you are composed of microorganisms that you call cells. They live in communities. You don't have to tell them what to do. They already know what to do. Your liver has a community. Your digestive tract has a community. Your nervous system has a community. Your circulatory system has a community. Your skin has a community. Your hair has a community of cells. When you break down, it is microorganisms that you are made of that are breaking you down. They go from a place of order and design to a place of now what? Radioactivity, breakdown. I'm dying. I'm actually toxic now. As far as chemistry is concerned, I'm going back to the earth. I got to go through a whole process. But then you have other elements of things that were in you as well. Gases and light. What happens to those gases and those light? How do they retain memory? Why are all the inert gases, noble gases, on the end with their electron shells closed? But they're saying, oh, these don't interact. But then they find out in the experiment on tryptophan that they do interact. Oh, wait a minute. This is not what we think it is. This is the fulcrum point. When you go from C back to C, go through the 7 notes, go to another octave, go to another atom, go to the periodic table. What are these points? These are fulcrum points. Ah, got you. Every atom has a fulcrum. North pole, south pole, the fulcrum is in the middle. The fulcrum is the light. I can do something to expose the light. I can do a 320 spinner, and now these won't come together because the light now has created an external fulcrum. Now, if you know where the fulcrum is, nothing can compress there. It's got a perfect compression and expansion point. You can put things at a certain place, and you can what? Create motion with the magnets. And what does it do? It gives you free energy. Free energy comes from fulcrum points. And magnetized substance. To magnetize something is to gather the ability of the atoms to expose the light field. That is something that you need to understand on multiple levels of discussion. You can shift people into magnetism by having order. But the order is in the material world, those electron energies are in up and down spin, opposites. In the quantum world, they organize themselves by spin in one direction to create substance that exposes the light field, which means you have to separate them. How genius is it to have a SOS and a DOS when they leave SOS and DOS and come together, paired electron field, collapse into matter, stable periodic table. But when they're also outside of that, they have this magnetic field moment where there's light, the brotherhood and the sisterhood. You cannot, here's my point. Now I'm going into what it means to understand life. You cannot build effective marriages without building them out of brotherhoods and sisterhoods. I'm going to say it again. Based on the laws of nature, you cannot build effective marriages, the collapse of matter, into a stable atomic periodic table, which is going to now be used to build everything around you. That's the family. Each atom represents a family. Uniqueness, types of families, but all heterosexual. They deal with positive and negative charge fields, upspin or downspin. However, it is known now that all of the periodic table is born out of these particular vector particles. Let's call them fermions. Now we're going to get real deep because that shows that there are 24 atoms before hydrogen, but now what they did is they just named them quarks, leptons, antiparticles, and a few of the other fermions like protons. So you got 24 of them. How did they know that? They know that by how I just broke that down. I'll break it down another way. I told you the magnetic fields on these north-south poles, they got 6 poles, 3 angles of direction. This proves the light field to matter transition points. Everything is in a qubit. This is why they're making quantum computers now. Everything is in a qubit, meaning you have an up, a down, left or right, a front or back. That's your magnetic box that you live in. Atoms don't touch. This can get deep, all right? And so what am I trying to communicate here? I'm trying to communicate the very things you see in the physical world are also the laws in the light field. This is why you need a DOS and a SOS in order to produce healthy marriages. This is happening in nature. Unpaired opposites are generating light memory by what they do, the trajectory, the vector, the what? Angle, the purpose of life. Brothers getting together for purpose, sisters getting together for purpose. When they are doing that, now they come together to selectively mate based on some culture. Imagine this, and you don't have to imagine this is happening. Just look at it as being our culture. We have access to all of this knowledge and we're using it. What does that mean? That means we can't be defeated. That means you can't defeat us. In order to defeat us, we have to leave it. We have to leave it. We have to abandon it. We have to accept electrocution. We have to accept the chair. We have to accept the chair. You cannot defeat a people who live that way. Now you got the draconians. The draconians are the people who can't see their reflection, but they know some of these laws. And so they inversely use them against you. So instead of allowing you to create healthy heterosexual families, they give you the reverse rainbow. They give all the money to their nonprofits so they can spread their messages all over social media. They make you so that you are now inclined in order to keep your position at your job because you're not in your purpose. You don't want to confront reality by stating who you are. You don't even have to put other people down. You state what your culture is, what you do and you don't do. And now that bold statement is a statement of a barrier, a line. Don't cross it. You can't cross it. Instead, you letting them create boundaries and barriers for you and then inviting you in selectively. Now they're the fulcrum. And by making themselves the fulcrum, what are you? You are now a part of a group resonance you have no control over. And that means you still have to deal with it. Because everybody's creating, and people are creating at different levels of intelligence. And if your creating is not intelligent enough, you will not survive. You will not thrive. If your creating is intelligent enough, you will survive. You will thrive. You will be purposeful. Nothing can stop you. So another reason why you're stressed is because you're not really confident. You're not really confident because you're not in a testing modality to test to see whether what you live by is actually invincible or actually something that can put you into a position, regardless of who you have to compete with, where you have to compete, how you have to compete. Regardless of that, you can be creative and still come out with success. Some people, they're faking that part. And when you fake that part, you're dishonest to yourself. Dishonesty from yourself, you're having an out-of-body experience now. And you're going to project, which means you can't see yourself. Now you're a vampire. They even try to take Draconian because Draconian is Draco. Draco is Kukulkan. Kukulkan is the serpent that's spinning in the terrestrial sphere every 25,000 years for the 25,000 year Zulukin calendar, which is Southern Hoodoo, which is our magic. What y'all look like giving them Draconian? I use the word because it's colloquial, but you disrespecting yourself. There's no way they could be Draconian. To be Draconian is to be able to go through a lot of mythology and prove his math. Because if what I'm saying is correct, then I have a dinosaur in my backyard named Hannah, who is a macaw, who is the feathered serpent. Because all dinosaurs were birds. Feathers, serpents. Go look at all the studies now where they're finding all the feathers on the dinosaurs. There's no such thing as a dinosaur. They were birds. In the Holy Quran, you learn that somebody knew the language of the birds. What is the language of the birds? Is the language of dinosaurs? No, it's the language of Kukulkan. Who knew a Western language of light in the East? Did y'all read these books that y'all actually be dealing with? Somebody knew the language of birds. Birds are telepathic. Birds deal with ESP. Birds deal with magnetite, which is what? The mineral in a vector state in their skulls. So now they can read GPS. The vestibular systems are intact to the degree that they know where they are, they know what they're doing, and they know where they're going. Do you know where you're going? You might be headed for a car crash. I don't want you to crash. I want you to succeed. And so what I'm trying to say to you is stress is slow electrocution. Don't electrocute yourself. That's not a good idea. Don't be someone's slow electrocution. You know what slow electrocution is? When your timing is off. When you're impulsive at the wrong time. When you try to control things that you don't need to be trying to control. When you're off rhythm. This is not hard. I'm about to get out of here. I didn't even get into the healthy sex and the meditation. I think I gave enough. There's a lot more to say on this subject, but you need to learn to breathe. You do need to learn food science. You just taking everybody herbs. Hey man, you need some such take you some selenium and then take you some. And I'm trying to communicate, and it's like people are not getting what I'm saying. Let me say that another way. What you need to go learn how to breathe. You need to do it 3 times a day: sunrise, noon, sunset. 5 minutes. Relax breathing. Just do it. Just keep doing it over and over again. Keep doing it over and over again. Don't stop. Keep doing it. You know what's going to happen? You'll start to feel different. You're going to be slow to react to the impulsive, confused electrical signals of others. You are now going to become almost immune from electrocution. No sentence for you. Just by learning how to breathe. Then you learn nutrition from a literal biochemistry, indigenous biochemistry perspective. I got to put that on it because that's what we're using. We're doing some very unique things by saying don't mix this with that and why. If you have inflammation, why are you taking all feminine mineral elements into your body that's going to increase the inflammation? You need masculine minerals that are going to cause the inflammation to go down. It's going to cause the cells to contract, not expand. And let's say you have some tumorization somewhere. Fibroids. You know what fibroids is from? It's from women being masculine. Sorry. It's the concentration of tissues that have misfolded in the protein folding phases. And now that misfolding has caused a hard tissue, which is compression. That woman is masculine who has the fibroids. She's masculine. She needs to breathe. She needs to learn some food science. So she wouldn't be taking, let me get more of my potassium in and calcium. I need some magnesium. Why are you taking that with fibroids? That's going to make the fibroids worse. Three laws, you can learn anything in the universe. You can peer review everything in the universe with 3 laws. If you were listening to me and you knew me beyond 18 months, you wouldn't have to listen to me again, ever. If you're a good student, it would be no need. You would get it. Like, oh, damn. I got the full vetting system for life. I never have to look up another thing to vet. No matter what information I'm looking at, I have knowledge. Knowledge is the vetting system for information. Knowledge, how we say knowledge in the world is science. To know. And so, there was something else I wanted to say. So we're doing the meditations, we're doing the food science. Oh, the healthy sex. You just can't be having sex with anybody. Like you're just having sex. Why are you having sex? Because you're stressed. You want to get electrocuted. Is it an orgasm or is it electrocution? Motherfucker might be shocking your ass. What I mean by that is, like, just think about this. Go back to the science. Where are my magnets? They're attracted. You can't break this bond. They're not repulsed. There's a reason why these magnets are sticking together. How are you having sex with someone, having an orgasm, and you have no feeling of connection to that person? Not a real one. And how you prove you don't have a real one is you're out aimlessly searching for the connection in all types of direct or indirect ways. This can get touchy. All right, so let me tell you what I mean. Electrocution, right? Stress is the alteration of the electrical flow in a circuit. Here we're talking about the body. This is why in the birth class, I keep telling women they should not have pain while they deliver their children. And they're looking at me like, you saying we should have orgasm instead of pain? I'm saying that proves who you are or who you aren't. So what I mean by electrocution instead of orgasm, I mean, why aren't you attached? You should be attached by science. You should be leaving DOS, SOS rules to create attachments, real ones, attractions, bonds. You can measure this in creation. This is what's supposed to happen. The reason why it's not happening is because somebody's too masculine, somebody's too feminine, and they're not taking the awareness seriously. They have bad habits. They don't breathe. Let's go back. Food science is off. They're looking at diagnostics, but the diagnostics are telling them things in layers, and they only want to hear one layer. I don't want to hear all that, Ali. Just give me some megaleaf, bro. Everything else is going to take care of itself. And you're partially right, because you can use biochemistry to reset the connection between the light field. You can do that because you got better chemistry. However, and I say this with great care, that is for people who were dead. Meaning, as they come back into life, that channel is open for them. When I say come back into life, I mean purpose, self-belief, confidence. If you claim to already come into that self-belief, all of that, and you are faking it, now you got to talk about what karma really is. Karma is saying you're something or doing something and you're not, and you're faking it. And then inside of the fake frequency, you want reality to reward you. And sometimes it stops rewarding you. And it's like, why is it not rewarding me? It's because you closed the door. Close the door. Why? What are you doing? That's the evidence. We don't know. You got to tell us. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Something is wrong. You got to go back and breathe. Got to eat right. Got to get good rest. All these things can throw you off. It could be, you don't have to be some crazy, far out Norman Bates situation. You got a body somewhere and you hide it and you really know who you are. Like, hey, that can happen too. But this could be just a result of, nigga, you need to sleep more. You need to eat less. You eating too much, bro. You eat 3 meals a day. You got a fat gut. Bro, your hair is bald. You're stressed. Your occipital frontalis. Your galea aponeurotica. They're too tight. You need to have that relaxed, because when that gets too tight, it cuts off it causes fibrosis in the scalp. You're stressed. It's electrocution. You ever seen somebody hair stand up on their head when they get electrocuted? Why is the hair standing up on the head? Something is happening with the what? Magnetic fields. They're getting distorted, but it's happening fast. Shit, if you kept doing that to that person while their hair standing up, they would be bald afterwards. So humanity is slowly electrocuting themselves. They're doing it through poor environmental decisions. They're doing it through poor leadership in politics. They're doing it through scientists who can be bought and scientists who are just following a trajectory that was laid out in a curriculum that is destructive to them. All right. And so, yeah, it's time to shift that. Somebody say no random eggplant. So what about masturbation? Intent is everything. I don't recommend that men do that. For women, it's different because of you being the receptive vesicle. Yeah, you just have to decide how dangerous you're getting. I mean, are you pulling out a 12-inch dildo and just devouring yourself? Or are you just giving, are we grown here, like some clitoral stimulation or something of that nature? There's a difference. Don't get me on camera or TV and y'all got the flower and y'all getting, y'all, like, didn't they go over? They had a whole article by a few scientists talking about the flower and electrocution. So now you got a stress clit. This can get bad. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend devices. It's not something I recommend anyway. I mean, but I definitely do not recommend that for men. It's very castrating and low confidence. Bro, you should be able to get a woman. And that's another thing that causes stress, slow electrocution. Some men don't feel confident about getting women. And you can see that in the men as they get older. They be weird. They be in their 30s and 40s and they be weird. Be like, bruh, I know it. The real men know what that problem is. Or every time somebody get a woman, you trying to get that woman. And now you got eyes for the woman that your man's got. Envy and jealousy come from low self-esteem and narcissism. Narcissism is not high self-esteem. Narcissism is low self-esteem masked in confidence that cannot manifest and prove itself. And so women, I usually let women talk to more women who are, talking about those particular things. You can go to the Eshell Tribal Ministry Patreon on Facebook. Let me see if I can pull that up. And let the sisters talk to you because I don't really like to get into sisters' business. I mean, I'll teach because, sometimes the women are not all the way on point. So if we got to have a patriarch step in to say something, yep. So let me show you where you could go. This is where all y'all women need to start going. All my sisters who got Patreons and different things, y'all make sure y'all share them with me because then I'll go and I will share them with the people because they need to be in a space where they're talking. So you can go right here, Eshell Tribal Birth Ministry. Add that womb circle. Yeah. You got all types of stuff. So it's got the coloring books for the young women. They got all types of stuff going on. And then if you want to let's see. Let me find Just Solely. There we go. Bam. Y'all can get to the farm. Get y'all asses to the farm. Get your feet in the ground. And join Sister Ty Lee, Just Solely, Ego Agro Enterprise. And y'all need to be in y'all yards, in y'all houses with plants and learning plant medicine and getting involved in creating your own products and all of those things. And these sisters, they do this. They've been doing this. They run businesses doing these things. They can teach you and train you. It's a lot of women just don't have no goddamn skill sets. You be coming up, you don't even smell right. Like sometimes a man is looking at you a certain way because you don't smell right. And he probably don't, he's trying to figure out, how am I going to say this? Now, if you getting your breath work in, you chilling, you having a good time, you on your lotus, you at the farm, you out here learning, you're out here. You know not to use the roads to electrocute yourself because you went to the Patreon and you invested to learn yourself. You know how crazy it is to be in this world and not know how to wipe your ass as a 40-year-old adult, and people are still that old and they still have crust from when they were 20 on their exterior because they don't know how to wipe themselves. Got the brand new funk. That was the group. Y'all know that? Brand new funk. Yeah, man. It's like, bro, we're not here to be talking all like we're bigger than you or whatever. We got to say some stuff that's like kind of far out there, but this comes down to stuff like that. Your hygiene, you might be stressed because you got dookie stains all through your hands. That might be causing you some stress. All types of things can be happening down there. People just be getting ashamed to even go to the doctor. Get some wipes. Yes, baby wipes, the clean ones, the motherfucking hypoallergenic ones, the ones without the metals, the ones without the parabens. All y'all motherfucking plant-based spiritual motherfuckers, y'all know y'all got all the shit. Those ones. And wipe your ass with some clean, extra clean baby wipes. That's how you wipe your ass. In case you didn't know, it's good to be, to the best of your ability, to rinse your hand, wash your hands before and after you use the bathroom. Because you could be coming from outside and you could have been touching some shit that has some shit on it, and you're about to go into a place where you have a hole. Wash your hands and wash them afterwards. Fulcrum point. Wash your hands. Pose before and after. See how fucking practical this fucking thinking is? The fulcrum point is literally washing your hands. I mean, you got to think about this now. Let's put it in street terms then. You could be a woman that never learned how to wipe but you got a man he's swiping the box all the time. He's so dumbed down, he can't even tell you not wiping your ass right, and you ain't wiping your ass right. So he might have a beard like me. Now he got his shit face. This is how bad the pheromones are out here, dude. I just got to give real life examples. It's disgusting out here. We need to change things. And you know, what I just said is absolutely true. As something begins to putrefy, it becomes radioactive. Y'all here giving niggas radioactive beards. I'm just here to report the news. I don't make this shit up. I can't make it up. It's impossible. Yeah, we talking about sexual hygiene now. We put that as one of the things to avoid stress. Some of y'all are stressed out because the people y'all interacting with are just not clean. They're not they don't have good hygiene, bro. These are things that you need to know in order to be able to have low stress. Not to get electrocuted. She got bacterial vaginosis and yeast infection, and she's telling you she's orgasming. No, she's electrocuting herself. She'll do that with anybody. She'll do that with anybody, man. All right, I'm getting up out of here. I need to get some food. It's late, and I have not eaten. Busy day, busy day. I need to stop electrocuting myself on this motherfucking internet. Yeah, let me get off this internet. Look, I think we dealt with the subject very well. I hope that you have enjoyed your stay here. If you have further questions from us, you can always contact us. All of our contacts are right there. You won't ever have to worry about not being able to contact us. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Cut up. I've been in here cooking for 2.5 hours. Hey, look, I'm going to leave the video up, though. If you want to laugh, like, it's a lot to laugh about. Because, I think this was funny. By the way, I conclude my statement that none of the shit that we're learning in life, except for maybe little things like how to build shit, beauty, care, all that shit. Those are good things. Trades, yeah. Trades are a good thing. That's a good thing that we're learning. But the way that we're learning also is kind of bad because, you could do welding a whole nother way so that those people don't have to experience heavy exposure to those metals, those heated metals, right? I have this whole concept for ironworks and metallurgy where instead of using heat, you're using cold and getting not only better advantages and no toxins or whatever, but the work it will last longer because of what you're doing to the metal. So, yeah. So we gotta come up with a concept to kind of tie to some of these things. But yeah, cold fusion metallurgy, cold fusion ironworking. That's something that's actually easy, and you're working in reverse. But it's going to require certain things. It's going to require magnets. It might require liquids in some instances because you're reversing the process and you don't want the metals to crack. So there's a way to do that in order to make those metals seal for longer and seal more stably. And it's all literally on that periodic table that I just mentioned. Like, bro, if you play with this thing for decades, we let our children play with it for decades. I'm telling you, you don't understand. They're going to be making shit that we can't even think of right now. And all we have to do is incubate them from 0 to 6 in their subjective chamber and live life right around them. Shit comes out magic, bro. Anyway, we out.